Well, it's 6:02. I don't want to keep the people that are here waiting too long. Well, Jason, let's just open it up. There's just not enough audience here to worry about having to manage, questions and that type of thing. I don't believe.
I'm doing that right now. All right.
Are we there to where Deidre or Richard could ask a question if they need to?
Yes, they can unmute themselves and start their videos if they so choose.
Okay, I think we gotta, we'll have to review our strategy. The methodology might be too complex. I don't know. But anyway, we'll go through it. Okay, Deidre and Richard, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, Deidre, are you good? I didn't hear you, Deidre, but I think you can. So I'll go ahead and go through here. So, I would love to have like 150 people here. We'll have to figure out how we can get more information out. But I do appreciate Richard and Deidre for coming in and getting the information. If you got a question while I'm going through this, please just, jump in. There's not enough on here to worry about. This is a pretty straightforward bond issue, and so it won't take too long to go through. So the board had voted to go ahead and put the measure 1-108 on the May 18th, 2021 election for the proposed bond. Okay, so Baker School District, our buildings are aging. Just for your reference, Brooklyn is our youngest building at 66 years old. I would think Haynes is our oldest at 102, but actually the core of North Baker, or now what's the Baker Learning Center, is at least 110. The masonry portion of it is that old. And then if you count when the fire burnt part of the high school, then that section is the newest, 1990 is when that was done. So because we have old buildings, the mechanical systems and heating and ventilation are really creating problems. They've outlasted their lifespan, their expected lifespan. Okay, so several of the schools have original heating units and steam piping. Steam, when you heat with steam, it's fairly corrosive, and so over time it degrades the systems. So our pipes are corroded, radiators and fan coil units are failing. Difficult repair, primarily because we have to scavenge parts from other areas. They no longer make the parts for some of these components. Oops. So in this project list, and I want to say the total project list is $12 million worth of projects. The bond itself is $4 million, and I'll show you how we get to the 12. But out of the 12 million, really the mechanical systems, and then we need to upgrade the electrical service. Those two components are 55% of the bond projects. Okay, replace the roof at South Baker Intermediate. That is the next roof we need to replace. we wanted to do this in conjunction with the mechanical system upgrade, because that more than likely would be roof units. And so it just makes more sense to do that at the same time than to do it at different times. So the roof project is 7% of the bond projects. The other thing I need to, and I forgot to mention that the other part of our mechanical systems, we can't distribute the heat and control the heat very well at all because of the age. And so we'll have rooms that are hot with windows open in the dead of winter, and then we'll have spaces that we just can't get heat to, and so it's chilly. So it's really hard to, so from that lens, it's an efficiency problem. But then also just having the older systems, new upgrades would make them much more efficient and therefore would save general fund dollars. Okay, this project list would also have install and fully integrated security and access systems at all schools. So a key card system and door sensors to control access. So door sensors would let us know in a lockdown if any of the exterior doors are ajar, or on a regular day when things are supposed to be locked up if they actually aren't. Key card systems would definitely help us be able to manage all the facilities and be allow access to those that should have access, and deny those that don't don't have permission or gone through the process to get access. We'd want to upgrade the security cameras, fire alarms. A lot of the fire alarms are very aged, and so they're challenging for us to keep them in a a good space. What happens is that they short out at this juncture at times, and so we test them every year. We run through them, but we do have to fight that they're not always connected because of shorts and just being aged and in the buildings where they contract and expand and contract. And then public address systems on every site. So we have at every school site, there's spaces within the campus that we can't actually communicate in one way, and places we can't get communications to. And so, in a safety scenario, we really want to be able to talk to everybody on the campus to give directions if it's necessary. And now that's challenging for us to do. And then secure entry vestibules of Brooklyn and South Baker to control access. That's pretty common throughout any new build, any new schools all have those. The remodel at North Baker turned that into the Belk, has an example of what a secure entryway looks like. If you happen to go by there, you can look and see. But Brooklyn and South Baker, the way they're constructed, it'd be relatively easy and not overly expensive to go ahead and put those in at those sites. Baker Middle School and Baker High School would be quite expensive and outside the level or amount of money that the board was willing to go at this juncture. Okay, we'd also add middle school cafeteria and kitchen. Be approximately 5,000 square foot standalone building. It'd be multi-purpose, and so that now we would have a kitchen on site. That's the only school we don't actually have a kitchen in the building, and it provide a quality space for their cafeteria. Right now, they eat on the balcony, and they have to have two different lunch periods to be able to manage it. And then I'd certainly want to be able to utilize that space primarily. I think one of the easier grabs would be for wrestling, as an example, for practice. So we could fully utilize that. And then, of course, community events. This portion, I got to double check. Did I say, let's see, this is 14% of the security and access is 14% of the projects. And this is 24% of the projects. I also usually mention at this time that we did apply for and received a $2.3 million grant to upgrade the, strengthen the walls to protect against a seismic event. The type of construction at the middle school is very susceptible to earthquakes, and so it scores high when you do go out for grants. And so it's more easily able to get those. We're going to be able to do the gymnasium. The way the grants are built, it's lined up so that where you're utilizing space and community events, and you can show and demonstrate that, that scores a lot of points and gives you a better opportunity to get it. That work will be done summer of 2022 is when that's targeted to be done. If they do a really good job on it, you won't know because you'll still be able to see the historical look of the building. Pretty challenging seismic upgrade though with that type of construction. And we'll be researching methodologies with architects to figure out the best approach to do that. Once that's completed, I certainly want to turn around and apply for grants for the rest of the building. I think we've got a reasonable chance. The one thing that does go against us is you can't make the strong argument that it's a community space like the gymnasiums at the high school, the auditorium potentially at the high school, gymnasium at Brooklyn. Okay, this proposal is pretty straightforward, $4 million proposed bond measure. It would be repaid over 5 years. And so based on feedback from the last bond, it was, way too much money. People definitely wanted to have less money on the table. It just didn't, the feedback was don't build new, remodel and take care of what you have. And then there was a argument that, we don't want a long term. So it's just like a home. If you borrow for 30 years and pay off in 30 years, you're going to pay more interest than if you borrowed for 15 years and pay it off in 15 years. So by having it be 5 years, more money is actually going to the project and less to interest. And so you get more done and you don't have as much interest to pay in the total project. So it would cost approximately $66 per 100,000 or $1,000 of assessed value. So on a home that is assessed at, that's not market value, but assessed at $100,000, then it would cost $66 a year or $5.50. And then Jason has done a really good job of putting a bond calculator. And Jason, can't you get to that on our webpage, the district webpage?
That's correct, Mr. Witty. You can access that through baker5j.org, and then under About Us, there's a bond information tab, or you can go directly to bakersdbond.org, and you'll find it there on the front page.
And so you can look at your tax, property taxes, you figure out how much your home is assessed at, and then you can utilize that to figure out how much it would be in your situation for the year. And if you don't know your assessed value, you can call the county assessor's office. I actually think you can look it up online actually too, if I remember right. There's a way to do that. Do you remember, Jason?
Yeah, there's a link on right there by the bond calculator. That's actually a link right to the assessor's office, and you can go through the process of finding your property's assessed value.
Perfect. All right. Then, so to get to the 12 million, the bond would be 4 million. That'd be paid by the voters, the community. 4 million in matching grants from the state called Awesome Grants. Those are competitive grants. We've been able to get this one. And just to be clear, if you passed a bond for, if we asked them passed a bond for 6 million, you would still just get 4 million. And if you passed a bond for 3 million, then you would only get 3 million. So 4 million is kind of the sweet spot to be able to get to the $4 million from the state that we could apply towards these projects. And then the district would put in 4 million. So essentially what we would do is take 2 million from our capital project funds. We invest quite a bit each year into the maintenance and improvements of our buildings. So we just focus those capital project funds towards the bond projects over 3 or so years to get that accomplished. And then 2 million would come from the student investment account. This is new money. School districts have not gotten this in the past. This is actually the first year that we've been able to receive those monies. And that is because of the corporate activity tax. And so the corporate activity tax goes to the state, then it gets put into a formula, and then K-12 schools get a portion of that. One of the items that you can spend that's allowable is on safety and security. And so those funds would be targeting the safety and security because it's an allowable way to use them. Okay, I went through the awesome grant. We'd received 4 million matching, but the only way you can get at the 4 million matching is to have the state or the voters to pass at least a $4 million bond. And then I kind of went through this, 2 million from student investment account that would be dedicated to safety and security because it's an allowable way to use that money. And then 2 million from our capital project fund. We just pointed to the capital or to the bond project list. We would have a bond oversight committee. The board's approved the notion to go ahead and put one together. Going to wait until after the election, and if the bond proposal passes, then I'll put together an oversight committee of citizens. So those are people not on the budget committee, not on the board committee. They do have some specialized skills usually and understanding of money and those types of things, but we would put that together. That'd be a sounding board for us, and they would help monitor progress and provide bond oversight and feedback, and then would report to the school board on a regular basis. And really it's pretty straightforward, and certainly be willing to take any questions. I definitely appreciate the three that came, and I guess 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. We just want to get the information out. That's our role at this juncture. So any questions in chat or any questions that somebody would like to jump in with?
How long would it last after, how long would it last after it started? And
Great question. So 5 years, I think what you're asking is the term of the bond and how long that'd be on the tax roll.
yeah.
5 years.
And the construction for the lunchroom at the middle school, when would that start?
Well, so we don't have, we don't spend a lot of money on getting timelines and contractors on board and everything until we know if the bond passes. But if it passes in May of this year, then of course, the first thing we need to do is go out and sell the bond. And that takes about, I think 3 months generally. And then while we're doing that, we'll be putting together the architectural team, and then the construction manager and general contractor. And so we get those on board. And so the architect and the CMGC work with us to go ahead and get the best build design. And the reason you bring the architect and the CMGC on together is to try to eliminate as many change orders as possible up front. So you're not getting a bunch of change orders as you go into the process. But I would hope in the summer of 2022, we would be in a position to start, working on the projects. Richard, I wouldn't want to say today for sure which projects will be approached until we know, who the CMGC is, who the subs are, what's their timeframes, what can we expect from them. So, you kind of got to work through what's available in the contracting world too at that time. But, we would definitely want to get started with actual, projects summer of 2022.
What about, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I just want to make sure I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. What about, so if that, you're just waiting to get votes, right? The main thing is to get it voted.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, that's right. And we don't want to put a bunch of investment down. We've done enough investment for sure to get the cost estimates done, because we got to have a pretty clear understanding of what, from a costing standpoint, so we know what we're doing. That's where we get to the 12 million. But yeah, once the election occurs, And if the community is willing to support this and we get enough yes votes, then we'll start immediately on putting together, the process to get the bond sold. And then as soon as we get that sold, then we start working on getting the architect on board and the CMGC on board. And from there, then heavy planning starts and away we go. I would say that it's critical. We want to use as many local subs as possible. And so as we go through the process of selecting an architect and a CMGC, we want to make sure that they have a lens on how to assist local contractors to participate. Now, these are competitive processes. These are government bids. So, generally it does go to the lowest bidder, but we need to do what we want to do. I want to do everything I can to make it easy for local contractors, even Ace Hardware and Millers and, people that have supply pieces to be able to participate in the process. So we want to make that as feasible as possible.
Right. So you said the building, it ain't gonna be the gray one getting rebuilt. It's gonna be a new building, or?
Well, the 5,000 square foot cafeteria kitchen is the only new project that would be done. And most likely that would be located to the west, the southwest by the gym on the west side is most likely where it would be located. We need to do more studies to make sure that that would be appropriate. The other thing that I did mention, I don't know if anybody's been in the locker rooms at the middle school, but they're not serviceable. ADA would cost incredible amount of money to try to make them ADA accessible. And so when we do build, if it's successful, if the community supports it, and we build the kitchen cafeteria multi-purpose space, then we'll, I also want us to at least consider where would a locker room logically fit. And so that at least we can have a footprint and thought about that. So we can have a locker room that actually functions well for our middle school students, junior high students. Now, it's been 1948 was the last time a bond passed in this community for schools. Quite frankly, that's about a world record in Oregon. I don't think there's any school that actually, I haven't looked, but generally schools pass them about every 20 to 30 years. And so, it's just been a long time in this district.
Doesn't that, it's kind of not looking so well if people ain't showing up, or how would be the best way to get it out there to get votes?
Well, that's our question. Of course, at this juncture, I'm information, I'm just trying to get information, but we ask ourselves that question every day. Now, we have sent out a flyer. Every box should have gotten it. I think I received it, I don't know, in the last 5 days anyway, that describes it. We put it in the Bulldog Pride. We used Facebook, sent out a bond video piece, which maybe, Jason, if you could put that into the chat, maybe you already have. I haven't been paying attention.
I had not yet, but I'll get that loaded. I think Lindsay's got a couple of questions that have come in on the chat as well while I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Would it be a better way to get to more people, as if you did a video of the day in the life of how they live, or in the school, you know what I mean? So that they actually see that it's kind of not.
Yeah.
It ain't what I did when I went to middle school. It definitely ain't anywhere near what it was.
So we've got 4 videos produced, and one will go out. Do we have another one going out this week, or is it next week? Yeah, next week.
Next
so we do
Monday.
have four videos that really, one is an overview, and then the other 3 focus on safety, security. The other one, another one on mechanical, and another one on Jason, if I'm correct, on the kitchen cafeteria.
That is correct, Mark. And I'm grabbing that link right now. I'm going to throw it in the chat for everybody.
And Richard, you're right. I mean, I would like, look, I'd like to talk to as many people as possible. I've probably made about 15 of these presentations thus far. We go to, really anybody that wants to, take the 20 minutes to listen to it. But we're going to any group that's interested, whether they want to do it on Zoom or if they want me to show up in person. I can do either, and more than willing to do that. So if you have a group that you would like to share it.
So I have a couple of questions, if you can hear me now.
I can, Deidre.
Okay, so my mic, sorry, my mic wasn't working.
No worries.
So just curious about the current maintenance budget that you have, and what is that using to go towards repairs and upgrades? And then why is it taking so long to get these upgrades and things done?
Well, I think I've been here 6 years and we've been spending more and more money on maintenance every year. We put a pretty good chunk of money, and I've sent out stuff as to what, information about how much we have invested over the last 5 or 6 years. I don't have it in front of me, but we put $1.5 million a year into just general maintenance. And then a lot of the maintenance budget goes to actually maintenance, cleaning, getting the floors done. You got to mow, you got to water, you got to have a crew that can fix things. So a portion of the maintenance budget certainly goes to, literally just maintenance, but not upgrades. I don't want to disparage. Everybody has their own issues they're trying to deal with. But during the recession, this district didn't invest any money in any of the upgrades or major maintenance kind of components like roof replacements and those kind of things that they have a lifespan. They didn't really spend hardly any money on that. And so we've been, since I've been here, we've been trying to get as much done as we can each year within the budget. It's always a balance. You definitely, you get money from the general fund, from the state school fund, and a good chunk of that money's got to go towards and should rightfully go towards program for kids. And so it's always a balance between programs for kids and then, trying to keep your buildings upgraded and doing things along that line. School districts don't generally have the money to replace major systems without a bond. If you go to almost any other school district, they don't have the resources to do that because the state fund puts in money for maintenance, but they don't put in money for major upgrades. The expectation is that that's done by the citizenry in that community.
Okay. So if the bond doesn't pass, that SIA money, can that still be used for security and safety purposes?
It can, and we'll have to assess where we're at and work with the board and try to determine where to go. I do suspect, though, that the board will continue to put this on the ballot because if it doesn't pass, because quite frankly, we need to get some of this money. I mean, it's kind of a community $1 and state $1 and school district $1. We can leverage that and get quite a bit done and get caught up and be ready to go. These mechanical systems just aren't, they're expensive.
Right.
They're very expensive. And so we just need to get after it. They're very old. But I'm committed to go ahead and keep working to get these things taken care of. This would certainly be a help to get us down that road.
Right. Okay. So we don't lose that SIA money.
No.
It can be used, and it wouldn't be used on anything else. It would just be put in a holding kind of thing.
Well, we'd have to, I spend more time thinking about if it passes at this juncture.
Okay.
So, I'd want to go through a process and try to figure out, but I definitely will keep a strong portion of the SIA dollar to go towards capital projects,
Right.
and what's acceptable to do with that. So, we definitely could start building a fund to be able to manage some of the safety and security components.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't lose that. Now, the awesome grant, we do. We don't get the awesome grant, that 4 million, if it doesn't pass.
Right. Right.
Yeah, good questions. Thank you, Deidre.
Okay. All right.
Deanna, I think Deanna anyway, do you have any questions? Lindsay, were there any questions in the chat or something that I might have missed?
I was going to read Deidre's questions to you, but then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now,
Right.
since her
Oh, I
mic
got
went-
him. I see him here. Well, okay, Deidre's, I think Deidre got hers answered. Was there some other, I was looking on chat or on my.
Deanna has said that she does not have any other questions, but she is new to Baker. Welcome, Deanna.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, welcome. Great place to live and raise your kids. You know, it's a small town, but you know, but still got a lot of opportunities. So that's kind of what's cool.
And
And
just,
Lindsay, I can see your youngest having fun today, working behind you. He's learning stuff as we go.
Yes. Yeah. I've got both my littles in the office with me right now.
Yes.
and just for Deanna, and so you're on the same page too, Mark, I did mention in the chat just for everybody that we are recording this meeting and we'll have a recording of it available. I know Deanna was a little bit late to be able to join and
Oh, sure.
missed quite a few of those first slides. So there'll be the opportunity to view those if once we get that ready in the morning and sent out.
And, you know, like I said, if you guys know of a group that would like to hear this, I mean, we'll be here 10 at night if that's what it takes. You know, we want to make sure and get the information out to everybody that wants it. We do have those videos. I think, Jason, you put it in the chat. Hopefully, I think people can grab that and put it on their own computer, can't they, Jason?
Yeah, you just copy that, right click and copy the link, and you could share it or view it. If you just click it, it'll take you to YouTube where we have it posted.
And then, like I said, we've got 3 more of those going out and more information going out at this juncture. So, like I said, if you know a group, we're trying to hit every PTCO group that we have and others, but we're trying to get the information out as best we can with the pandemic going on. But we're hopefully making some progress.
For this meeting, I thought it was interesting that we had to register. Is it not open to the community to give input or to ask questions? This was just solely for parents?
Mark, you want me to field that one?
Yeah.
So Deidre, we didn't intentionally mean to make that a barrier. What we were trying to do
Okay.
was create a way that we could snag some emails in case we had some follow-up or had, you know, it was that intention of if we got a lot of questions and we needed to send out some follow-up or individual responses, we just have that information ready to go. It was a testing of sorts, and I don't know if we're confident as a team that we'll use it again. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be a barrier.
I think the concept was really grand when we were talking about it, but it might have created a barrier for some. And then, you know, I was hopeful when we were sending that out. This was open to the community. We tried to send it, you know, everywhere we possibly could. And so, you know, I mean, obviously, we need help getting the word out.
Right, because I would have shared it, and I know some people that are interested and have questions, but the whole registration thing just kind of threw me off, and I thought, well, maybe you have to have a kid in the district in order to be part of this meeting tonight.
No.
So, okay.
No. Again, just as Jason said, it was a concept meeting where we thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great to get the email so we could send an FAQ on if there was questions that we didn't get to.
Okay.
I think I can speak for Mark too. Thank you, Deidre, for giving us that feedback. That does help us kind of gain and gauge whether this was effective or not. So I do appreciate you speaking up and asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Deanna, Deidre, Richard, any other? And by the way, if something pops into your head, you certainly can email us or call or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna ask with the security, does that go for the whole school itself, or does it go to each classroom? And how would it be if the kids are on the bus and the school is to go on a lockdown?
Yeah, you know, we can't, as far as the bus issue, we just secure the bus and move them to a safe locale. This particular project would be securing the entrances and exits.
Okay.
That would be the focus. In that way, you know, there are times when we get, you know, Baker City or OSP calls us up and says, you know, there's a threat. That's their role to be able to tell us that. And with this system, we could lock down very, very quickly and get that out. And we would know if there was a door ajar, so we could immediately send somebody there to get it locked.
Okay.
And the intent is that when kids are in school, like when they're in school, then the exterior entrance and exits would be locked, and the main entrances would be, monitored. And so we could really manage. Now, at the elementary levels, I don't know how much detail I want to get into, but custody issues are really some of our more challenging events. And generally they go just fine, but there are issues that come up around custody that becomes kind of tense from time to time.
Hi, this is Deanna. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Okay. So I do have one comment about Zoom. Maybe it's just because it's another app you have to download somewhere.
Oh,
I ran and grabbed my kid's laptop, because I'm never going to use it again. So I didn't really want to download it and go through the whole registration,
Jason, what do you think about that?
I think we're getting some pretty clear feedback that the registration part was not a, but just so you're aware, Deanna, I do believe that the link that we provide normally without this registration process would not require downloading the Zoom app or anything. You can actually run it from a web browser. So it doesn't require an app being installed or anything like that. This was a little bit different because we did have that registration piece.
Well, that would be great, because I tried to download Zoom onto my laptop for an IEP meeting and that did not go well.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
I'm always a little nervous on my own stuff to download anything. I'm just dangerous enough to be, educated enough to be dangerous, I guess, with paper.
Right.
Yeah. So I think what Jason you're saying is that really nobody would have to have the app to run.
No, in normal circumstances, you can run it from a web browser, and it doesn't require that actual app to be installed on the computer. I think it may have been different because we required the registration this go around.
I'm on mobile right now, and when I tried to go into it, it gave me the option to go to browser or do my
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate Deanna, Deidre, and Richard, you guys taking the time this evening to come in and learn about the bond at this juncture. My job is just to get the information out as best we can. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time and educating yourselves. And yeah, thank you very much for, doing that.
I have a board meeting coming up and I can share it. See how far it gets.
We would love to, and also if at any time, if there was a group or a board or whatever, you wanted me to come down and do a 15, 20-minute presentation, I would definitely avail myself to do that, or somebody from our team would.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys, and have a great evening. It's a beautiful day out there, and I guess a few more moments of light to enjoy it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. We'll see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.